Hello, nerdlings!
What up, nerdlings?
Woo! The
3
Great Alaskan Game Rush continues.
Pot tray.
And,
How do you say 3 in French?
you had it.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just trying to say 3 like dude. So, I didn't even realize I can speak French!
We
I
still
took Spanish
have
in high school.
we still have a ton of stuff to show you. And if you want to talk about your Spanish class, we'll let them click over here. And you can talk about that.
No.
Alright, so obviously the first part was Nintendo and Super Nintendo stuff. The second was just Sega. We had Sega Genesis, CD, Sega Saturn, Game Gear. Yeah, where you at, Peter?
Sega.
No way. That guy would talk about these games all day long.
Yeah.
Sorry, Peter.
We love you, Peter.
So, anyway, this time it's just a mishmash of stuff because there's a whole lot of stuff to show you.
Mishy-mashy.
So we're going to go through it real quick. Just to start off with, this was just kind of neat. These are some cases for Engage. If you guys remember the Engage with the side talking.
I don't remember Engage.
It was like a taco-shaped phone handheld hybrid.
They're so cute. They're like shrunken DVD or in 360 cases.
So they're neat cases and they're complete with the exception of the games. Since it was a handheld, I'm betting that the games ended up in like some kind of carrying case or something. So those have not turned up yet. We're gonna keep bugging Aries'
So if
dad,
anyone knows where we can get these games to fill our cases,
but yeah, otherwise,
let us know.
Otherwise, if he doesn't have them, you know, because they did move around a lot and everything, so, you know, stuff happens. But it's still cool to have the case because it'll be a little easier to fill the case than find a case.
So were these cartridges? I've never heard of this.
Yes,
or saw
they were.
Anything like
they were
this,
teeny tiny. Because inside you can see like just how.
Well, I mean, like, was it this whole thing or was it just right here?
I think it was just right here.
So they're kind of
right
like DS.
DS, kind of a like Switch size, I believe.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna.
Did you taste them? Did they taste bad like Switches?
Oh, we don't have them.
But did you ever?
We don't have them, so I couldn't taste them.
All right, enough of those.
I know. We need to keep going.
Seriously, help us find these guys.
There were 2 PSP games. One was MLB 07 The Show, and then one was Dante's Inferno, and both have their booklets and everything.
Well, that's not very nice. It tells me to go to hell on the back.
Yeah, I know.
Screw you, Dante's
It's
Inferno.
like, oh, you want to play a game? Go to hell.
Go to hell.
Real quick, I don't know if this thing was ever even taken out of here, but it is an Intellivision, one of the plug-and-plays.
This is like something your grandma gets you, because I know you want that new game system, so here you go, honey. Look how many games are in there.
You said you wanted the Nintendovision, so I got that one for you.
It's got Nintendovision on it.
But actually, these are always kind of fun, just because you can play some of the classics without having to dig out the Atari, mess with that weird switch, get it converted, whatever. But these are like a good distraction, you know. And
it's good to travel with, because I mean, it's
all
the games
good to travel.
They're in the controller, so.
Great game to blow the minds off of little kids and everything, and be like, oh yeah, you like your Gears of War? Here, why don't you try motocross or
we got Shark and football and Star Strike, ski, baseball. They're really inventive with their titles.
Now, I will say real quick, this makes me think that within this huge game lot, this Great Alaskan Game Rush, there were some PC games. No big boxes with the exception of one that I'm going to show you guys in a little bit. But mostly it was like some Mahjong games and some Hunter games and everything.
We still haven't really got into the whole computer game collecting because there's
way
so
many. That's a huge undertaking right there.
I figure we would stick with video games first, and then maybe if we're bored in our 80s.
Computer games are still video games.
No, I'm saying like console games, I guess I should say. Oh, you're right. I should clarify. Console games.
But we're not showing any of those because a lot of them, you know, again, they're just a disc or something. Some didn't even have like any cover art or anything. They may have come in a bigger box, but you know, they didn't have anything for the jewel case.
And stuff like
but
that.
so I mean, despite all the games that you're seeing, there's still even more that you're not seeing because of all the PC stuff.
I feel like every time you should always go, but wait, there's more.
I'm not Billy Mays. But we do have some PS1 games. So, real quick, there's Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, Omega Boost, Driver, You got wait, is that Ace Combat? Okay, Ace Combat 3. You got Jackie Chan Stuntmaster and Fighting Force 2. Fighting Force 2, I remember playing that. I loved my brawlers like Final Fight and Streets of Rage, and the Fighting Force was kind of a series that was trying to up that into a 3D world, and it was kind of hit or miss.
Hang on, before we move on, you've got to be. I hope you can zoom in on this back here, but this.
Hold still.
I was trying to find it, but anyway, this screen right here is hilarious. I was going to.
She does the same thing with her Wizarding World crates. She gets so excited. She's like, I hope you can see this.
Look at this. This is great. No, I wanted to make sure I was pointing to the right little. There's a bunch of screenshots on the back, but he's all like, "Help! Let me out!" It looks really funny.
But the PS1 games keep going with Army Men 3D.
What?
Grudge Warriors.
What?
One of my favorites, actually, Siphon Filter.
Whoops. Isn't this the one where you can like kill people with like literally fry them with a taser?
Set them on fire.
Yes, I used to watch some friends from high school play that game. That was hilarious to watch that.
Got a Crash 2, which, just real quick, anybody with the Crash collection be on like various systems now, like the Nintendo Switch and everything, is that weird seeing Crash on a different system? Because even though he wasn't Sony's mascot, he was kind of their unofficial mascot. Colony Wars. Oh, there's a new movie in this series coming out soon.
Mission Impossible.
Then Colony Wars 3, Red Sun. I don't know if that means we missed out on the second one.
Check out that screenshot. That does not look like Ethan Hunt.
Then we got a Caesar's Palace 2000. Now, if you look real close at this, the funny thing is it is in one of those jewel cases that holds multiple discs. This is a single disc game.
Why'd they do that?
I don't know. There were a couple of games.
Is it like the booklet's big or something?
But there were a few games that they would choose to do that.
Ooh, they even have the pretty Caesar's Palace Las Vegas fountains.
It's maybe to, fill up the shelf spaces and the stores and everything. But yeah, I always thought that was odd that they did that.
Yeah, that is weird, because I expected, well, maybe the booklet was big or something, but no.
The original Medal of Honor. Then we got
I had a demo of that.
Tonka Space Station.
Put those over there. I can't reach it.
We've got Dino Crisis, which was basically Resident Evil with dinosaurs.
There's a Doctor Who episode.
Medal of Honor Underground. The ever so cleverly titled Snowboarding. NBA Showtime, NBA on NBC.
NBA. I don't know why I said it there.
I know.
But it makes it more ominous.
Spec Ops Stealth Patrol. Oh my gosh, I can't even read that. Burstrick Wakeboarding.
Whoa. That's intense.
Cyber Tiger. During the game room tour, I mentioned that we had a lot of sports games and some totes kind of put under the bed and futon and all of that stuff. Because no one comes and asks to play Tiger Woods Golf. I think I said 2003. Well, now that we have Cyber Tiger, I'm pretty sure Peter is going to want to play that.
I was going to say, he was a little annoyed that we said no one's going to play our sports games.
He mentioned that he wanted to play Tiger Woods 2003, so next time you're over, Peter. And then Fear Effect.
What?
Which, oh my gosh, I think either Fear Effect or Fear Effect 2, there was like the big deal about, it's a girl-on-girl action, and unfortunately,
Okay.
She's just now hearing this.
But
unfortunately, I think the games were actually very fun, but that was the only thing that people focused on. Go figure.
Those are not good graphics, by the way.
That was PS1. Hey, real quick, I always tell people that PS1 games are kind of like Atari games as far as like being very difficult to go back to, because I feel like you need a ton of imagination to go back to PS1 games. I'm sorry.
You're talking about
they generally have not aged well.
Metal Gear, where he doesn't have a mouth and just.
But that's the thing. I just think of Metal Gear Solid now from like Twin Snakes when they used to.
It's creepy.
We had a couple of long box PS1 games, so Nova Storm, as well as Warhawk.
Are any of you guys familiar with the big box games? I didn't know they came this way until we started collecting them. But yeah, I mean, they're just.
And Nova Storm even has 2 discs in there.
So, yeah.
So, aside from the PS1 love, there was also some PS2 goodness.
Holy
So
goodness
count them off
gracious.
quick. Hitman 2.
What?
SOCOM Navy SEALs.
What?
SOCOM 2.
Okay, I'm not going to say what every time. I'm going to get annoyed.
Prince of Persia.
I had that on the computer.
Call of Duty Finest Hour.
Everybody remembers that on the computer where he's like...
Oh, that's a different Prince of Persia. That's old school.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. I had that one on the computer.
What was that, Jake Gyllenhaal? Prince
Yeah,
of Persia?
probably. Mine was before that was even a thought. He would go like this, and then when he died, he would slowly get down on the ground and lay...
Mercenaries. SOCOM 3. Extermination.
What?
Full Spectrum Warrior.
I don't know why I feel the need
I know,
to do that.
I'm going to tell you to stop that now. If I were watching this video, I'd be like,
I'm
dislike,
trying to be
done.
excited. Don't dislike our videos. You'll make me cry.
Max Payne.
You don't want to make me cry?
Enter the Matrix. Top Gun Combat Zone.
Top Gun.
Hey,
Danger Zone.
check it out. You don't have to do any microtransactions for this Star Wars Battlefront. One of my favorite series on the PS2, Ratchet and Clank. You got a jam pack full of goodness, no doubt. City Crisis. Destroy All Humans. Sub Rebellion.
Hey, I like to show all humans. That's fun.
Ghost Recon. Ace Combat 4. Hitman Blood Money.
He's
Dark
all-
Cloud. And Jack and Daxter. So, two real quick notes here. Dark Cloud, I remember thinking, oh, sweet, it's like Zelda for the PS2, but it wasn't really. It was a little more roguelike and a little too focused on like city building, which at the time I wasn't into. And Jack and Daxter, I was one of those people who made sure I got all 100 orbs, all precursor orbs or stones or whatever they were. And do you know what they do? Nothing.
Oh.
I'm going to spoil it for you guys right now. There's a big door. All the orbs go into it. It opens up. There's this light. Everyone's like, oh my gosh. And then nothing. It shows nothing.
Nothing?
So it was a little disappointing.
I don't know where to put all this stuff.
I know, there's a lot of stuff.
There's no room.
Now,
Put it in front of your face.
Now, the one PC game that we got was, or at least full box, was Star Wars TIE Fighter. And so that's pretty neat. Why don't you open that up and show them,
I was trying to show the back.
show the discs in this one.
Floppies!
Look,
Cringe floppies!
Look guys, 3D printed save icons.
Now, when I tried to pull something like that last time we showed off computer discs, you told me I was making fun of them.
Because you're showing the wrong discs. You're showing the bigger ones.
Is that a comic book
It looks like
that
that.
I came with? Well, here.
It doesn't have anything to do with the games.
Yeah, well, there's merchandise.
That's just
We all love
merchandise.
merchandise.
That's merchandising.
Merchandising! People love merchandising!
Now, speaking of books, she's going to be here all day looking at those books.
I know.
Because it's a catalog.
I love
She
shopping!
likes to buy goodies.
Shopping is fun.
Now, there were a lot of books in this lot. You had things like Secrets of the Game, Nintendo Game Secrets, or Eternal Champions. So you had all the information for all the different fighters in that game, as well as just kind of a generic secret code book that had codes for, I think, games all across like so many systems.
Cheaters never win. Are you kidding? That's what it says on the back.
Nice. That's funny. Even the book is like giving us the
you a
business.
hard time.
But there were some more streamlined strategy guides, like one for Tekken 3, or
Check out the motorcycle on the back.
or Metal Gear Solid,
Metal
which
Gear.
back in the day probably would have come in handy if you didn't know to look on the back of the jewel case.
Was that you?
007, Tomorrow Never Dies.
This was my James Bond. If you don't count Sean Connery.
And then for the games that we already ran through, Fear Effect and Siphon Filter.
Woohoo! Woohoo!
Oh man, there were some rough spots in Siphon Filter, but even with a strategy guide, I don't think it would have helped me, because I really think it was just one of those, you had to be really good at sneaking and getting headshots and not being seen. So,
But wait!
still so
There's
much to go.
more!
Check out the boxed dual turbo wireless remote controllers, which it's always kind of fun to find. Even
Are they in
third-party
here?
controllers, I believe that they are. But even third-party controllers, as long as you got the box.
Oh, look at that.
Ooh.
Still in the plastic. Just your typical. With 3 buttons. It very much looks like a Sega controller.
And now it'll be very interesting to actually maybe throw some batteries in this,
I
try
don't
it
think they're
out,
ever used.
and see how well it works. Because sometimes those wireless controllers from back in the day weren't all that responsive. So let's clear this stuff out of the way real quick, just so we can show you something really cool.
We got some really cool stuff.
Why don't you put your hand up? I'll put my hand up. And we're just going to make this pop away in an epic high five.
All right.
Wow!
That was the nerdiest high five ever.
Yeah, it was. All right. So here's the pretty exciting thing. Just because you don't come across these games all that often, and this was one of the first things that Aries' dad mentioned that he had. And by the way, I'm not throwing his name out there just in case no one wants his name out there. You know, kind of like Red 5. But anyway, I was very stoked to hear that the man had some TurboGrafx 16 games. Because like I said, you never find these out in the wild. So being able to find them, that they've been in a home where, you know, look, they're complete. They've got their cases. It's not just the card.
They're just a little rough.
Yeah. But you've got Dungeon Explorer. And the thing is, keep in mind that the backs of these don't have anything on them, so you can't really show any like screenshots. Yeah. Keep Courage in Alpha, or was it Alpha Zones?
Yeah.
But I believe that was the standard pack-in game. I'm not sure if they changed that up, kind of like Nintendo and Sega would. Ninja Spirit, no booklet with that one. Sidearms, look at this like cyborg weirdo man. Now this one's very interesting, and of course, since there's nothing on the back, I have to look up online what it's about. But Sinistron with this kind of like space Cthulhu monster thing going on there, and Superstar Soldier. I think one of the NES games we had, or Super Nintendo, something. I think we had a Star Soldier somewhere. So it's like we got a little sequel action there. I'm betting that's a shooter based off of the cover.
Pew pew!
Now, these were cool enough. What I really thought was cool was the next part where we had the games in sleeves. I did not know.
No, because we thought when we got them in the jewel cases, that meant they were complete.
Right. Because, I mean, why wouldn't they be? You know, they've got a spine. You know, they usually have a booklet on the top. But on the sleeves, they do have box art on the back that shows you what's going on. And then on the inside, I mean, it's you've got like information cards for the TurboGrafx and games and everything. But then otherwise, it's just the jewel case. I don't think there's anything else in there. It's just kind of, that's it. That's all you get, kid. So that was really cool. Bomberman looking a little. It's like they kind of went cartoony, realistic with his face on the cover there, which is funny. And then you have, if you're a fan of...
It's weird that he opened it from the bottom.
What's your Talking Dead guy's name?
Rick Grimes?
No, Talking Dead.
Oh, Talking Dead. Chris Hardwick.
So if you're a Chris Hardwick fan,
Hardwick.
you can dial 1-800-DEAD-MOOD.
855, or is it? Oh, I forgot now.
I don't know.
855.
So this is Dead Moon, though, whatever that number is.
I even have the shirt that has the number on it. I can't remember what the number is.
And again, it's in its case, and I love the cover art for this one, Ballistics, which, I mean, that cover art looks so epic, and then you turn it around and you see the back.
Is that my cue?
That is your cue. You turn it around and it's.
I'm a good fan of white.
Wait, what's going on? This doesn't look as exciting.
I don't even know what
as
the hell's
cover.
going on. This looks like an acid trip. Like you took way too many drugs, and that's what you saw. And you should never do drugs.
See, I just think that the cover looks like a old school metal album cover.
That is true. I can see that, but they all dropped acid, so that's probably why.
You know, when we start getting phone calls,
I'm sorry.
I didn't drop acid.
Hey, you want to call me Bon Jovi or Styx or Skid Row or what's some of the other?
So
I'll take
moving
your phone
on.
call.
Moving on. Like I said, there were some PC games, but other than the Star Wars one, that was the only one we kind of wanted to show off. So now let's look at some of the other stuff that came with this game lot. Like a fairly yellowed but original PS1.
PS1.
And I don't know if there are any issues with that. I haven't had a chance to test these out, but just in case there are, we've got a boxed PS1, and it is in there as well. I mean, you can lift it and tell them whether or not.
DualShock. And it's heavy. This is from Sears for $129.99.
Holy cow, Sears.
Does anybody shop at Sears anymore?
And then we got a FC Twin in the box.
Those are always fun.
So you get a little 8-bit and 16-bit action going on. These are as nice and convenient. If you can find one that works well, sometimes you have some compatibility issues, of course. And then real quick, this was kind of neat. It's a
Huge.
game display case. So, you know, you've got like the very typical front.
Drawer? No.
It is not, because it opens up on the inside, or from the top. And you've got some
game slots for Sega.
I think multiple ones.
Well, I mean, like, there's the Sega cutout right there.
I bet
and then you could
Sega
probably
and
do
Super
Super
Nintendo
Nintendo.
probably both fit in there.
Because it doesn't specify on the front what it is, but your system goes over here, and then even more, like, games can go over
Those
here.
are for your cool show-off games right there. It's like, greetings, tonight the game selection will be these. I don't know why I was coming off more like Kermit the Frog.
I
there with
know.
my fancy voice.
Kermit the
All right,
Frog.
get these out of the way, because, oh wait, for this, I have something that may fit up there. Will it fit?
It fits!
Nice.
Sort of.
So it kind of fits.
Hi,
A fairly
how are
yellowed NES, which it's usually pretty common to find these guys a little discolored. And
What else do you got down there in your big old bag of tricks? Sega!
so you've got one of the Mark I Genesis
Can you tell we've
systems
been programmed as
with
children?
hey, that is fantastic.
That is
advertising.
really good marketing.
I always love this on this one though. High definition graphics. Look at how ahead of the time Sega was. They had
even put
HD graphics.
16-bit on the front of it, so you
What
know
I'm
how many
saying
bits are in there.
Is they had HD graphics
Yeah.
before HD was a thing.
Yeah.
So you've got this one, which has got the headphone slot with the volume slider. But then you also have the Mark II, which a lot of people are a little more familiar with because it's a little smaller. And it is connected to a Sega CD right here. Do you see that? Do that again. Come on, gamers. What's one of the first things that go on a console? It's any kind of door that has a button to
Yes.
open and latch close.
This was the
I'm
Sega I
looking
had.
at you, PlayStation.
I had this Sega.
So that's pretty neat. And
I just like how they made it to where it attaches. I thought that was pretty ingenious.
which, by the way, just so you guys know, for the longer system, the side unit of the Sega CD actually did come with, if you bought it from the store, it did come with an extra piece of plastic that would sit right here, so that if you hooked up an original model Genesis, which, you know, slides open a little door right there, it would not hang over as it does. That piece of plastic would actually keep it so it would be right in place.
That's smart.
That is smart. They were forward thinking
They
like
were.
that. And one more Sega system, the Saturn.
It opens and works.
And it latches closed.
Yep.
How nice is that? And this is pretty nice. I
Like
don't
cartridges go back here.
know if this got much play into it or not. But it doesn't look like there's any like scratches or anything. Just, you know, some slight dust, some fingerprints and everything on the cover.
So this one played regulars.
No, the cartridge slot was for various things. I think we used to have, I don't know if we have it anymore, but you could actually get a cartridge to plug in there that was supposed to help you play Japanese games. without having to do like any of the disc swapping tricks, but in my experience, it never worked. Even with the cartridge in there, you usually still had to do that. I think they did some.
It goes back here.
I think they did. Well, that's where you can change out the battery for the internal clock.
Oh.
Because a lot of times, if that internal clock is not working, you can't play the Saturn, so it's kind of a pain.
Oh, that's
yeah,
annoying.
it was kind of a novelty thing at the time. Like, ooh, you can turn your system on, and it has a battery backup clock. You can see what time it is.
That's the only thing it did. It didn't back up.
Yeah, I'm
anything
sure.
else?
I'm sure it did some other
Oh,
things.
okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to mess with the Sega Saturn a
Me
whole lot
neither.
when it came out. I had actually gone with the PlayStation, but I went with the PlayStation because I was a big RPG fan, and I was following my Final Fantasy. Nintendo 64 didn't have a good relationship with Square, obviously.
It's funny that you go RPG. I didn't trade my Sega in. I still have my original Sega. But I traded all my Sega games in towards a PlayStation 1 to play the new Harry Potter games that had just come out. So, that's what I switched to PlayStation about.
And then
Speaking
we
of
have
PlayStation,
PS2, one of the slim models.
So cute.
Now, I think this was a refurbished one because unfortunately there's a little issue with the memory card door. It looks like it's pressed in a little bit. And then there's
this
some...
is like the size of the Wii gamepad. The Wii U pad.
Yeah, it is. And there's some tape on the side.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that means that the system has been opened up or not. Now, if this was a system from maybe GameStop or a place like that, that's not usually that uncommon. A lot of times they would open the systems up to clean them out and everything, and depending on who you had working, sometimes they couldn't get the system closed properly, so they would cheat a little bit.
The door works.
Now, as far as one of the cooler systems that came with all of this, to go with those nice TurboGrafx games, a TurboGrafx 16,
Ta-da!
which is always really cool. It even has this little butt shell on, so no turbo CD attachment though.
Aw.
So I guess he went after the Sega CD and Saturns with no intention of going after the turbo CD. But I always liked how small this one was too.
Yeah.
The only issue with it is a
This
little
feels like
long.
the Game Gear. It's about the size of the Game Gear.
Pretty close. Within all of this, I've got a Rubbermaid full of all kinds of wires, hookups for all these systems, various controllers all across the board. You've got, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, obviously Saturn,
Basically the
TurboGrafx controllers
for
for all of these. You've got first party, you've got some third party, and that kind of brings us to the point of a very interesting third party controller for the Nintendo. Pardon me, Vanna.
Bye-bye, systems.
So, if I hold this up, does anybody know what this is? Right off the
I bet you we have
bat?
a few viewers that would.
I bet so. I bet there's a couple of people that are like, I already know what that is.
I know what that is.
So it goes for the Nintendo, and it is the U-Force. Now, most people are very familiar with the Power Glove that lets you wear the controller on your hand and move around.
Your hand
This
is the controller.
Nice. I like that. She should have been doing the commercial the whole time.
Yep, your hand is the controller with this one.
We got
infrared business going on
We've got the
here.
booklet here with the game chart,
Pew, pew,
the
pew.
card inserted in there. But
Nice
let's-
them buttons and jiggle.
let's put you in that superhero outfit, and you can start hawking
I would
new
totally do
forces.
that.
The nice thing is,
Could you do what you did?
we will try that out. We should totally try it out. See if we can put your head in there. My hand's the controller. We also have the joystick that goes with it.
Does it go right here?
Yes, but just basically fits in there. I think you can tighten it a little because it seems really loose. Maybe it's supposed to be that loose. Okay, little
It's actually really comfortable, the joystick is.
just trigger buttons and everything. So it was cool to have that whole piece. With the PS2, he threw in, along with all of the controllers and cables and everything else, he threw in a monitor for us, a nice little flat screen monitor,
Yeah.
which is actually very handy to have. And there was a wallet of some loose games I lied. I said that was all the games.
Oh no.
But I totally lied. And I believe it's a mix of PS1 and PS2, and there's some good games in here. Urgides, I don't know how to pronounce that one. But it was a fighting game by Squaresoft with some special guest stars from Final Fantasy VII. So you could whoop ass as Cloud and Sephiroth and Tifa, Yuffie, I think Vincent. It was like almost
Chocobos?
all of them. No Chocobos. That would have been awesome though.
What about the Cactar? Was it Cactars?
Maybe, I'll have to look into it. Maybe Tobal number 2 you could play
Moogle?
as a Chocobo.
I like Moogle.
There's a game right here on top called Apocalypse with Chad Bruce Willis in it. And but anyway, just just kind of a bunch of loose discs and everything. Even though they're discs, a lot of the booklets are actually in here too, which is really neat. So we just have
Tomb Raider 2.
We just have to put them in some cases and get them on the shelf. They'll be fine. With that being said, let me know if you guys know of anyone or any place to get like replacement inserts. I mean, I know that you can print them off, but if you were going for like the real deal, do you guys have anyone that you look for, or do you just kind of keep your eye out in the open, which is usually what we do? So, I think that may be it.
Is that all? There's not more?
There was some more. There were some video game magazines, some old Game Pros. No Nintendo Power. Oh man, I was keeping my fingers crossed when he said that he had some old Nintendo books and everything. I think he meant more like the player's guides and everything.
Yeah, but that's okay.
I was really hoping for some Nintendo Power. But Game Pro, the older ones, they're so much fun to look back through because obviously you see all the different systems and reading about how fantastic this PS1 game looks. It's like, wow, there was a time when we really thought so. But anyway, I think that we probably rambled long enough. There was a lot of
stuff.
Games. These shelves are going to be bursting.
We're going to do a new game room tour.
Probably. So, guys, please let us know what you think of the Great Alaskan Game. What was it?
I don't even know.
Game Pickup Game Haul. I can't even remember.
Part 1, and 2. I don't know.
You should have started with. Let us know what you think of the game pickup, though, because we definitely love to know what you thought of any of this.
Yeah. Do you have any of this stuff? Do you have good memories of any of these things?
Yeah.
Have you been to Alaska and you've been to, what was the...
Fred Meyer.
Fred Meyer? Do you know?
Apparently that's the place to get games, I'm telling you. But thank you so much, Aries, for having a very awesome father who was a gamer and the type of gamer who took care of his stuff by keeping the boxes, keeping the cases, and just like taking such good care of his systems. I mean, going through all of this, it's been so impressive. I absolutely love seeing stuff from a collector's home because it has been taken care of, it's been loved, and like even the discs, as we were going through those, I mean, they weren't scratched up or anything, and it's very impressive. It's always cool finding stuff like that. And especially when it's got a good forever home like it does now. And
thank you for thinking of us for when you were done with them and when you're done with those Xbox games.
Yeah.
Forget us. Because he wanted to keep all his Xbox games because he's still playing those, which is cool.
Yeah.
But like I said, when you're done,
them, play on.
Don't forget about us.
But all right. Definitely give us a like if you like this video, and please let us know in the comments below what you thought of any of this on any of the videos.
Yep.
And subscribe if you haven't already. Can't promise that all the other game pickups will be this big, but boy, if I had to say, she would say no, but I would say yes.
We need a bigger house. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram.
All right. Bye, nerdlings.
Bye, nerdlings.
I forgot something. Holy shit.